What is up, my viewers? Spang here, bringing you a World of Tanks gameplay commentary. This is going to be one of my replays and my BatChat.25t, which says Vive la France, or Vive la France, on it. I've got to have my fun, right? So, it is going to be a standard battle on Karelia, which is how I say that map name. I don't know if it is correct or not. It's probably like Karelia, something that sounds a bit more throaty in Russian.
Move out.
But it is a tier 10 battle. Obviously, we got my team's got a platoon of E100s. So some people would argue that's an automatic win condition. However, you will see that I've got to do quite a bit of carrying of my weight. This is the second and last of the 9.7 replays, at least to the best of my knowledge. Shows shortly after this should be 9.9. Right now, going to the standard spot, you would expect a medium tank, a fast-moving vehicle to go, which is over on this side, trying to take the hill, claim the hill. In fact, I am more in the mindset of I'm going to deny the hill, shoot things going up the hill, taking a bit more of a sneaky route, mostly because I don't want to be all too exposed to that Conqueror gun carriage, that CGC, and also so I can shoot things like this E50M who think they're being sneaky and not overcommit. It is important to note that the enemy team does have a tier 10 medium advantage, and I did not want to find myself in that situation that the 140 is currently finding himself in, and it seems like I made the right call. Now, again, even though this is an old replay, a 9.7 replay, I still quite familiar. I'm still very familiar with how this match turned out. It really did stick with me, and I'm kind of surprised about that. Not a whole lot of matches are that solidified in my memory, but this was a very good game of my BatChat, and we will see why here very shortly. Already dealing over 2,000 hit points of damage within the first minute or so of the match, and waiting for the reload, just staying safe behind this rock. This is another reason I went here. I want to be in a position where I could get off my rounds and then just sit back and wait for the reload, and then go out again and get off more rounds, and then sit back and wait for my reload, just completely abusing it. Right now, I see an opportunity to possibly push forward with the E100 and T30, thinking maybe get myself some good shots on, and possibly a kill on this enemy BatChat, who I am just ready to take out. Being a little reckless in the hopes of killing him, but unfortunately the BatChat's nearly non-existent gun depression right there, just that little hill stopping me from doing that. However, it does not stop me from getting the kill there eventually. Had to just rework how I approach that hill. Some tanks, you think they have better gun depression than they do, and then you find, oh, my gun literally cannot point at that tank. But made up for it, compensated, and overcame. Right now, I'm trying to gauge on how I want to hit that E4, pulling my back out just so I have to expose the least amount of my tank. Again, running into that gun depression problem, repositioning, and seeing that the T110 E4 did just fire. I'm going to shoot for his hatch. And will I get the kill? I will bounce maybe this time. This is the plus side of having an autoloader. Multiple rounds before we have to reload. Just a simple 1, 2, 3, and he dies. So kill number 2, and right now I recognize we got a scout on base, and that pretty much nothing has gone to the north, which is why our team is doing so well at this point. We pretty much sent everything we had to the southern pass, around the mountain, and said, you know what, we're just gonna meet you with overwhelming force. Screw the rest of it. We'll worry about that later. Our Bulldog and RU-251 are in a bit of trouble here. I'm certainly a little bit concerned for the survival of those vehicles. However, I am confident in my ability to take out the WZ-132, simply due to the fact I'm a BatChat.25t. What's he going to do to stop me? Right now, he's looking possibly to kill the RU, but he's going to be in for a nasty surprise. I'm looking to cut him off and possibly ruin his day here. We do have a Tiger 2 on base. Not a problem for me by any degree whatsoever. The replay having a bit of difficulty here. I do go into auto aim, and I do get pummeled a little bit here between the Tiger 2 Carnarvon combo. Both very solid tier 8 vehicles for sure. And I am reloading, nearly dying here. 66 hit points. I know just a couple replays back I said it's not that often you have a few hit points that are your narrow margin for survivable. But this is certainly one of those times, and I'm reloading, and I'm a little bit concerned that a Conqueror gun carriage shot will land anywhere near me. If he just it tickles my tank with splash damage, I die. That's pretty much what it comes down to. And I did feel pretty good about this match with the Carnarvon firing APCR at a BatChat. I'm like, yeah, waste those gold rounds, baby. It's not like my paper armor really cares one way or the other. our Object 261 will manage to kill that Carnarvon for a good amount of it. I think I didn't catch how much health he had left, but I think it was enough to be a good chunk of damage for that 261 for sure. Right now doing over 4,000 hit points worth of damage and barely surviving. The RU-251 also not alive quite, barely hanging on by a thread as well. So the two nearly dead, no armor tanks. High mobility though, going this way. The enemy vehicles, I mean, we're somewhat confident in doing so, however, because we know the Foch is down in the south, we know the Auxilla is down in the south, we know a good chunk of the enemy team is otherwise occupied on the map. And here I say nice APCR Cairn, or Karn. It's technically Carnarvon. I've looked up the pronunciation, or Carnarvon, or however you want to technically say it. It's one of those things of it's up to interpretation, but I do know it's not Cairnarvon, despite the spelling leading to that. I do get a good kill on that Ferdinand, get some more damage in, and then become increasingly concerned with my chances of survival against a 1390, who is a 2-shot for me, and I'm a 1-shot for him. And he says, you know how crappy this thing is? Yes, sir, I do. I drove it. I have the 215 Bravo heavy tank. I thoroughly enjoyed my Carnarvon because I understood how to play it. Which is more like you want to take that tank to fight medium tanks, more or less. It's a slower, slightly better armored medium tank. And you want to abuse its rate of fire and incredible accuracy. Right here, the 1390 getting a little bit of a surprise, thinking he was going to find me right where I was last spotted. And I say, nope, not going to stay there. Our E100 does manage to kill him after I track him, so a good bit of assisted damage for me. And I figure, why the hell not? Might as well reload. I do manage to survive just a little bit longer here. And our KV-4 making a bold move, going straight up the center. Our IS-7 down in the water. T-34 chilling on the hill, not quite sure what he's planning on doing. It looks like our E-100 was eliminated. I can only assume by the Waffenträger. I was not paying attention, honestly. But I kind of forgot after he saved my ass, he got his ass wiped off the map. One way or another, it really is inconsequential how he died. Just the fact that he died after getting a kill, somewhat unfortunate, especially after that kill saved my behind. Right now, being a little bit bold, but at the same time knowing where the vast majority of the enemy forces are, I'm actually in the mindset of already hunting at this point in time, removing that very large, very deadly Conqueror gun carriage from the map, so my heavy tanks, the KV-4 IS-7, are a little less under threat, maybe helping our E-100 to survive a bit longer as well. And I do spot him. The replay is delayed in actually making him show up, and I don't know why that is. We've seen that quite commonly here with these older replays, I guess, and I don't know if it's a persistent problem in current replays, because I mean, I'm still working on really getting the time to do those 9.12 and 13 replays. But we got a very easy kill going here with the Auxilla and the T-54 E1, the Waffenträger E100. As long as I am sneaky about it and don't get myself shot. Do have a very narrow margin here. Now the BatChat, one of its weaknesses are its accuracy isn't incredibly great, especially for a medium tank, but it does manage to find its target more often than not. It kind of requires you take it with a grain of salt. You're like, well, I can shoot at this thing from distance and I might miss and I might not hit what I want to hit. It encourages more up in your face brawly gameplay. But the KV-4 does get that final kill on the Waffenträger. I'm happy one way or another because, well, I did get my 6 kills. I got my top gun as well as a high caliber for sure. But we'll see how well everyone else did in those post-game stats. And here we go. Clearly earning myself Mastery Badge, Ace Tanker, Fire 4 Effect, Hand of God. I forget what that one is. Survive and win the battle having received damage from at least 4 different vehicles. Barely got that one because I almost died. And Bruiser. A lot of luck coming into effect. Anytime you survive by a narrow hit point margin, it's always RNGesus who saved you. But definitely got Top Gun and High Caliber. Now, this was one of my earliest matches in my BatChat. I think I played this shortly after unlocking it and getting the Top Gun, hence the 390 average damage. And I found myself asking the question, is the BatChat OP? And quite possibly. It definitely has a lot of downsides, as we saw. The gun depression isn't all that great. It's got vapor armor, obviously. Its accuracy is nothing to brag about. and neither is its aim time. And so no armor. They've put a lot of handicaps on this thing, but it always comes down to, well, if it doesn't really, none of that really matters if you get a lot of shots off at the enemy for more or less free. Like, if they get one shot at you, but you get 5 at them, you're gonna come out on top. Even if you have less hit points, even if you have no armor, even like all these other factors, 90% of the time are gonna help you come out on top despite all your handicaps, as long as you're a good, intelligent player. Now, we do see that E100 platoon doing some work there, especially Landis, part of the Aces clans, and Mr. Fancy Pants also doing some work there. The enemy team, the Conqueror, man, he was doing work, and the Waffenträger, E4, before I put an end to him. And actually, it's quite surprising he was able to get that much damage off, even though he died relatively early in the match. And then we had a few 0 performers, the T30, the 121, although I can't recall if I had a hand in his death or not. I was shooting mostly the E50 and 1390 or whatever. Whatever that's... It was a... Yeah, I think I shot the 1390 early on, and then he wanted to get some revenge, now that I think about it. Our T30 and 34 also not doing too well for themselves. Unfortunate, seeing as I have driven both those vehicles. I've owned both those vehicles, still own the T34, and I find them quite acceptable to play in. 4502P, alright, I mean, we see how everyone else did here. But getting into my stats, earned some good profit, even would have earned profit had I not, even with almost dying. So that's how you know he had a good match. Even when you pay nearly full repair cost and you fire most of your ammo, you still make profit at tier 10? You did a good job. Got a good chunk of experience as well, but 21 shots fired, all 21 of those finding their target, but only 19 penetrating. Damage over 6,200, and hits received 6. Of course, all 6 were penetrations. It's very rare, although it does happen that you would ricochet or absorb a shell into a module like tracks. But you're most of the time, if you get shot at with a BatChat, you're gonna take damage. And enemy vehicle spotted 2, 10 damage, 6 destroyed, and we got a total distance traveled of over 4.5 kilometers. So I was driving, but certainly, again, BatChat, is it OP? In the hands of a good, intelligent player in the right circumstances? Absolutely. But I don't really know what Wargaming can do to mitigate it. They've already tried a lot. And so it just demonstrates the autoloader system. When it works exceedingly well. And when it doesn't, it's still okay. So it's kind of why they're getting rid of the Waffenträger, right? Right. Anyway, that's going to about wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving that like button a click there. And as always, thank you ever so much for watching. But if you want to see more, definitely hit that subscribe button. Subscribe, as I usually say. And if you got something you want to share or suggest about my videos or channel, comment section below. And if you got a replay you think I should do a commentary on, there are instructions in the description below, along with a whole bunch of other information. But until next time, this has been Spang, and clearly I am just oh so professional. MLG.